There's a whole lot of skiing going on in Orlando today. Vice President Kamala Harris, this is her touching down right here in Orlando. Erin Haynes shot this video. She was in Orlando for the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated Boule taking place there. Some 12,000 registered attendees there. Yes, she's dressed in her all white. And as you see, when she got to the convention center, they were all in there. They were loud and proud. Turn the volume up, please. That is Dr. Glenda Glover. She is the international president of Alpha Kappa Alpha and president of Tennessee State University, Dr. Greg Carr's alma mater. And so in her speech, the vice president talked about reproductive rights as well as GOP voter suppression and the importance of the midterm elections.
So-called leaders who are in the process of criminalizing doctors and punishing women who want to must demand that Congress has the courage to repeal the liability shield that protects gun manufacturers, and we must demand they have the courage to renew the assault weapons ban. We have lost too many precious lives. I attended the funeral in Buffalo of an 86-year-old grandmother. And you know her story, and if not, I will share with you. She was going to the grocery store after having left her husband, who she'd been caring for, who was in a nursing home. She was just going to buy some groceries. A matriarch of a family. So in Buffalo, in Uvalde, those babies and their teachers. In Highland Park, I went there within 24 hours of that massacre that was supposed to be a parade route. And in communities and cities across our country. Listen, as we applaud, and we must applaud, our President Joe Biden for signing the first federal gun safety bill in 30 years. He signed it. And there is still more work to do to see it through. It's not going to be easy. It's never been easy. And there are, as there have always been, forces that stand in our way. Forces that oppose even the most, on this issue of gun safety, even the most common sense gun safety proposals. Forces that include extremist so-called leaders who, instead of expanding rights, work to restrict rights. These so-called leaders who, after we fought and marched, members of our sorority being among the greatest leaders, fought for the right to vote. These so-called leaders right here in this state and in other places in the country making it more difficult for people to vote. So-called leaders in neighboring states, making it even illegal to give folks food and water as they're standing in line to vote. And we know what we need to do. One of the things we need to do is pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and the Freedom to Vote Act. Many of you have joined me in different places in our country to talk about the long-standing, very serious problem of lead pipes, where our babies are being forced to drink toxic water, having well-documented then health consequences, including consequences to their ability to learn. So together we did the work to remove lead pipes. We are in the process of doing that to ensure that no child has to drink water poisoned with lead, and to make sure that we again are doing everything we can, understanding our children. God has given them so much capacity, but we here on earth must do our part to make sure they are protected. and can live in an environment that allows them to thrive, which is why together we also have addressed the issue of high-speed internet. Because I know there are a whole lot of folks here right now who know what that pandemic meant to your child's ability to learn and go to school, and what that required in terms of you having access and being able to afford high-speed internet. I travel the country. I can't tell you how many parents I met who would have to go and drive the kids to the local fast food restaurant or library to have access to the public Wi-Fi there. The kids would be in the back seat of the car trying to do their homework. We know what an education means in terms of what it allows for the future of one's ability to grow and succeed.
She also met with some Florida legislators regarding the issue of abortion. Here's some of that conversation.
This is not an issue that requires any particular person to change their faith or their belief system. It is simply that we should agree that in a democracy in America, the government should not interfere with certain decisions. Let the woman make that decision with her doctor, her loved ones, her pastor, her priest, her rabbi. But the government should not be doing that.
We'll go to our resident VP Harris booster, Reese Colbert. Reese, the AKs are meeting this week for their Boule, the Sigma Gamma Rho. They're meeting in Indianapolis for their 100th convention. You've got NAACP coming up. National Urban League is in D.C. You've got National Bar Association, the National Association of Black Journalists, National Association of Hispanic Journalists. They're going to be meeting together in Las Vegas. Look, if I'm this White House, I'm saying, all right, Joe, wherever you can't go, we're sending Harris to every single one of these conventions. I would have her on the road every single week speaking somewhere. And what I don't understand for the life of me, I just checked and I did not see, I went to the White House website, their YouTube channel. And again, maybe I missed it, but I'm looking right now under videos. I don't see her particular speech, which again makes no sense to me. That's really where they should be. They should have her, because today, Florida, battleground state, Val Deming is running. Me personally, now again, I don't know if it happened today. I'm gonna check with Aaron Haynes, who was there. Yes, Val Demings is a Delta, but to me, that's one of those things where you have the vice president, and that didn't even happen in New Orleans. I know Demings was backstage. They should have had Harris bring Demings out, say glad to be with her, fine, let her go back out. But that's how you actually utilize this. When we meet in NABJ in Nevada, battleground state, you got to hold on to that Senate seat there as well. This White House should be a lot more proactive in using the vice president, speaking to these critical constituents.
Well, I totally agree. I mean, I know that she personally requested to go to Essence Fest. I know that I'm going to safely assume that she requested to go to see her beloved sorority sisters. And I could tell when she came out that she was very much overjoyed and emotionally overcome by the significance of that moment for her to be addressing her sorority in particular. But I know that she has a history of going to all of these Black organization events. She did the Q convention back in 2019, and she does a lot of these events. So, you know, they don't normally do a lot of advertising about her presence in advance, and sometimes she addresses these conventions virtually as opposed to in person. But she's a huge messenger for the Democratic Party. If you ignore the chatter on Twitter and all the other kind of stuff, in person she's actually very incredibly popular. And I think that she feels most at home and most comfortable in front of a Black audience. I'm going to be honest. I've seen her at Essence multiple times. You know, this is her second time doing it, and I think she just feels a lot more at ease. And so if they don't take advantage, that's going to be a missed opportunity. Some, you know, people who are running that could be their choice, whether or not they want to have her be involved. I know that she, in particular, has always been an advocate for Black candidates in the primaries as well as in the general election. So my assumption would be, if she's not deployed by them, that perhaps they didn't reach out, but I do hope to see a lot more of her. And, you know, the other last thing I just want to say is I want them to do a better job of really highlighting her work specifically for the Black community. I mean, she talked about her work around lead, but she's also been a leader in terms of appraisal home bias and rooting that out. That specifically has been related to Black people. I was at the White House covering that event where there were several Black families that talked about their situation. Black maternal mortality is another one, which also impacts Black infant mortality, HBCU bomb threats, et cetera, et cetera. So she has a very vast portfolio of Black-centered issues that don't get enough attention, and being in front of these audience gives her the opportunity to highlight those.
And again, to me, Erica, in terms of how I look at this whole deal, you look at the incredible work that Kristen Clark is doing in the Civil Rights Division, the Department of Justice. If I'm the White House, I'm sending the Vice President to the National Bar Association Convention and talking about the great things happening in the DOJ. They never talk about it from the White House podium, which is beyond me. But you have to be laying these things out. I mean, in fact, I get the emails. I get those things today. In fact, when you look at what happened, and the DOJ has really been going after these correction officers. There was a Kentucky correction officer who pled guilty to covering up the assault of an inmate. That took place just a few days ago, actually on Tuesday. Also, what happened, a story that's out of Texas, where a sergeant at a Texas jail pled guilty to federal civil rights offenses for assaulting a detainee. Again, I don't know what the hell they doing. Look, I get it when you talk about Ukraine. I get it when you talk about inflation. But you have to, if you don't tell your story, ain't nobody else gonna tell your story. Use the vice president effectively to tell your story.
Yep.
Absolutely, Roland. And I mean, you just laid out before the importance of having Black media in specific spaces, that we do have Black reporters that do report out from some Black entities. But when you talked about there are 0 Black media companies that are stationed at Congress where legislation happens, right? So thinking about having the presence of a Roland Martin, your incredible team, they are absolutely amazing. All the people that work behind the scenes, think about that being multiplied. So the things that you talk about on this platform with regard to why it's important that those dollars are assigned to Black-owned media. You've got Black Women Views Media who's there providing coverage. Just think about if we could multiply the number of Rolands, if we could multiply the number of Reese's, and have those hands raised that are really asking questions specific to things that are happening in our community. I think that that would also be something that would be a benefit to combat a lot of the internet chatter that happens around, well, what's happening with us? You know, what are the things that are happening specific to our communities, where it would actually be lifted and you could just run the tape when those present bodies were there to ask those questions and have them responded, and then have that really infiltrated in internet spaces. So with regard to MVP Harris, my mom's an AKA, shout out to her. She and my dad are both a part of the Divine Nine. So I know folks like her are very much so laser sharp on the things that Madam Vice President Harris does and where she is. And so it is these types of important issues that people have to hear, not once, not twice, but over and over again. That is how we learn. We learn by repetition, hearing it over and over again. So these are the type of stories, the things that Reese shares with regard to what the Biden-Harris administration is doing, but especially with Madam Vice President Kamala Harris in terms of Black maternal health. If we're thinking about reproductive care, emergency services, thinking about the difference in a woman who has a ruptured ectopic pregnancy, that medical service that she's going to need to save her life because that fetus did not attach inside of the uterus. So putting that in front of people to know that these are things that not only impact women, but they impact Black women disproportionately, and why that's important to talk about over and over and over and over again. So definitely agree with you, but this is why it's important to attach the dollars with the bodies, with then what people are seeing on the internet and making it gospel.
And again, Greg, when we talk about what happens when, again, when you send folks out, when you utilize your assets effectively, someone just posted this. This was the vice president today when she was meeting folks there in Tampa, where you had one of this sister here, U.S. servicewoman who was on the verge of tears, just being able to meet the nation's first Black vice president. I remember when we were in Selma and she was shaking the hand of staffers there as well and other members of the military, what that means. These are moments that you don't see in Washington, D.C. It only happens when you get out of the nation's capital.
No question. Nobody has more smoke for Black elected officials than I do, or the Black petty bourgeoisie. But let me be very clear. That image you're showing right now, you know, I'm not naive about that. I'm not naive about the politics. And it's not being cynical. It's being clear-eyed. It's been a student of history. But that means something, Roland. And by the way, folks who may not have known, this time last week, I was scrambling to put on some of my African clothes, get down there to the Mayflower Hotel. I want to thank you publicly, brother, because Fred Gray signed both my books. And his wife, they were there. And that was a meeting of the National Bar Association, Sigma Pi Phi, the Boule, and Omega Psi Phi, his fraternity. Now, I'm the first in my family to go to college. I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha, a proud member, as are you. And then the governor is the president of the university I went to, Tennessee State. I will die having a deep suspicion of class politics in the Black community. But I also understand that it's a complicated thing, and that our people created those organizations, created those spaces not to separate themselves from the community, but to represent and fight for the community. That has become even more complicated after the end of apartheid, after the end of Jim Crow, because we have seen some Black folks separate themselves from Black folk. But I'm coming to this point. You know, Joe Biden, the Democratic Party, it's almost as if they want to lose. You're chasing something that doesn't exist. That white worker for whom whiteness is more important than anything. Black people are not loyal to the Democratic Party. Black people are loyal to Black people. And whether you like it or not, whether it be Delta Sigma Theta, my dear sister, Adwa Batwe Asmawa, when I go with her to Delta meetings and I come in and it's 1,000 Deltas in there and I'm like, good, oh, there it is right there. Man, I was so happy to see. I mean, that dude's a Q. It don't matter. Because of Roland Martin, y'all, I want to know. And I had on my African clothes, and I stood in the back. He was sitting on the dais. Y'all had finished y'all's conversation, which, by the way, you should look at the Black Star Network and look at that conversation that Roland Martin had with Fred Gray. Please. I stood in the back, and I listened to him, and I'm looking in an audience of lawyers. You know, I decided I wasn't going to practice law, but, you know, as a student member of the National Bar Association, these are the people I would have been with. I'm looking at Sigma Pi Phi, saw our brother there, the director of the Joint Center, Political Studies.
Spencer Overton.
Spencer Overton, of course, who used to have on TV One all the time. Hey, Spencer, man, I ain't seen you in a while. That is a world. Of course, we're both in Prince Hall Masons. That is another world. And I'm saying that, you know, Joe Biden, not even say no Joe Biden, Democratic Party, you see, when you walk in a room, and it's 1,000 Deltas, each one of those women is involved in organizing in the community. When you walk in a room with that many AKAs, each one of those women is involved in all kind of civic organizations. Same for SG Rose, same for the Zeta, same for everyone. I don't care whether it's Groove Fi Groove, and then you named all of the organizations, the NABJ, the NAACP. Class politics aside, Democratic Party, you need to understand something. You cannot galvanize us without engaging those groups. And that sister right there, and I'll end with this. As an alpha, I'm watching her walk into a room full of AKAs, And I got 30 some years of memories of Alpha Kappa Alpha. And if you are black, then you have to understand what that light-skinned girl right there is hugging that that dark-skinned woman, right? When you see them two together, like you, if you're not black, you don't understand. And the Democratic Party, y'all don't understand. So the best thing you can do, as Prince might say, give up the car keys this very night. If you're going to get us involved, you need to get the hell out of our way. Turn Kamala Harris loose. Set aside the criticism, set aside the very legitimate political arguments, and just go straight to the heart of the culture and get the hell out of our way. Because when these white nationalists win, we the ones that are going to suffer, y'all. So all you working class people, all you poor people say, all you bourgeois Negroes, can't none of y'all get no smoke to the bourgeois Negro better than me. and I'm a member of the bourgeois class. At the same time, these are the contradictions of Black America, but these devils are playing for keeps. And they going to take us right here. And then you're going to talk about, now, then you're going to be begging for the AKAs and the Alphas. You're going to be begging for the Prince Alpha.
Right.
You're begging for the NFBJ and NAACP when they come at your damn house. So, hey, man, thanks for getting my bush sign around. I ain't even gonna get out of there, but that does something to me to see that sister walk in there with all them sisters, because I know what it means, AKA, it's a serious matter.
But see, and again, I trip out of these people who, I love it when these old loudmouth fools talk about, Roland, you the Boule, and your point?
What's your point?
Because
come on, man.
Because see, what's so stupid is they holler, well, you the Boule, so Secretary of Defense, who's in my chapter. Can you talk to him? See, that's what the folk don't understand. And then I love these people. First of all, it's about 5,000 Boule members across the country. That's it. We ain't talking about 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 Deltas, 300,000 AKs, 125,000, 150,000 Alphas, and other black fraternities. Y'all, you don't even understand the numbers of Prince Hall Masons or Eastern Star. I mean, we can go on and on and on. We talk about numbers. So I get a kick out of these people who complain about black institutions. And they say, oh, you the bourgeois, but you don't mind them scholarships.
Come on, brother. That's right.
You don't mind it when there are catastrophes and folks show up with resources and goods.
That's right.
And as Greg said, I challenged the Boule directly.
Yes.
I was at the national convention in Cincinnati when I challenged them. And I said, I only came here one day because I didn't come here for partying. I only came here for the public policy session. I'll be at our convention in the Bahamas, but they already know where I'm coming from. And if we ain't dealing with public policy in the election, y'all gonna hear me from the Bahamas.
Roland, let me interject before you. 1934, the most smoke I've ever seen given to the Boule was by a member of the Boule in New York City in a speech I got in one of these books back here named W.E.B.
Du Bois. Lit the Boule up.
No, he said, y'all got to be doing more. What the hell? He said, in fact, you know what he said? He said, it ain't even a talented 10th. He said, the families in this room, he redid the talented 10th. That was the speech where he said, the best we could probably hope for is a guiding 100th. 1%. He said, but y'all trying to separate from the black community. He was a member of the Boule. He couldn't get in the room to do it if he wasn't in there. So yeah, you're right, Roland. I mean, it's complicated, brother.
See, and so the point is what I have been saying, and I said to Alpha. I said to Alpha at our convention that was in Baltimore. I said it to the AKAs at the regional conference in Shreveport and when they honored me at the national convention in Houston. I said it to the Deltas in New Orleans when I was there, both times in New Orleans. I said it to Sigma Gamma Rho when they were here in Washington, D.C. So y'all, don't get it twisted. See, when we say hashtag bring the funk, we don't just bring the funk to Republicans. We bring it to Democrats. That's why I get a kick out of y'all folk who say, all y'all do is do Democratic talking points. Y'all can't find no other show that brings the kind of hell we rain down on Democrats on this show from Erica, Reese, Greg, and our other panelists, but we also are smart enough to understand who's pure evil.
That's right.
And see, that's the difference. So when these fools start saying don't vote, you're helping pure evil.
That's right.
You're empowering pure evil. And then we all say, well, we ain't got nothing. What you asked for? What you petitioned for? What did you lobby for? Who you been talking to? See, again, it's one thing to hold a rally. It's another thing when you are strategic enough to say, we want 2 individuals from each congressional district to set an appointment with their congressional member, and we're going to visit all 435 House members. See, for some of y'all who want to know how this game works, when the Senate wouldn't approve Loretta Lynch, when we called together 200 black men to go to the Capitol, Jamal Bryant, Jeff Johnson, and myself, you know what we did? We went to go see, we went to Thad Cochran's office. He's now deceased, but we went to Thad Cochran's office. But see, I ain't from Mississippi. So we had a brother from Mississippi step to the front of the line. He walked in as a constituent. So if they were going to turn us away, they were also turning away a constituent. When we went to John Cornyn's office, I stepped up, pulled out my Texas driver's license.
Come on, bro.
So if y'all say no, you turning away a constituent. See, I'm just trying to explain to some of y'all. It's real easy to yell, holler, and shout, but it's a whole lot different when you are strategic in how you lobby to get something. Why don't y'all go ahead and read that book, The 101st Senator, about Clarence Mitchell, who worked for the NAACP, who that's what he did. You don't get the Civil Rights Act, you don't get a 64 Voting Rights Act of 65 and the Civil Rights Act of 68 without Clarence Mitchell and the lobbying he was doing in the halls of Congress. That's why I think we need Schoolhouse Rock 2.0, because a whole bunch of y'all clearly never saw that. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?